a lot of Monica. Monica will be going back and forth so that we all get a feel. Thank you, Mamacita. I'm now taking the honor to hand over the mic to you and go ahead.
Sorry about that.
But the
I
whole
feel a
men
little
team,
bit. Sorry?
the entire men champions team, they are with us in the house.
Thank you, Uncle Charles. And we will, as we go with our program, we also take note to introduce the team for the Alpha Support Men Champions, who are guided and led by Charles Okwembo. To us, we call him Uncle Charles. He deserves that honor. He has been working with us for the past, this year is going to be the 5th year. Ever since we started going digital, he has never missed any 16 days because he did promise us to say he will wear a skirt. And that has been his language for the past 5 years. We appreciate you, Uncle Charles, and we will honor and do not take you for granted at all. But we're so proud of the work that you're doing. So we will learn a little bit more when we delve into the men champions. So hang tight with us. Thank you.
So allow me to introduce Carlos Mauricio Hernandez Arboleda. For most of us, it's Chicho. So Carlos is a Colombian born in Medellin. He is a leader in a corporate sustainable and human development, transforming challenge into opportunities for more sustainable and equitable future. He is a leader of the sustainability process with extensive experience in emerging work teams for corporate sustainability process, social and community work. He has been working with the different levels of the government, with the companies, and his passion for the change that we can produce. He is working with the high levels, but as well, he can adapt to be with the base to do the change. So Carlos and I, we probably gonna be in a little more of the conversation as well. Maria, how long we have?
Is 30 okay?
7:30, yeah. That is good enough because we're gonna be translating. So Carlos, let's start the role. So tell me, do you want to, sorry, it's terrible, my sore throat today. In your point of view, Carlos, and mostly in the Latin American point of view, how is the men's participation, or what can make the men to make the fight against the SGBV? Bueno, como estamos hablando, Carlos, ¿cómo crees tú que puede ser o que podemos combatir la lucha de género en estos días con todos los cambios que tenemos?
Yo creo, Mónica, que definitivamente la lucha de género se tiene que dar en conversaciones entre los dos géneros. O sea, en la medida en que hayan conversaciones más honestas y más sinceras y se reconozca que nosotros venimos de una carga ancestral muy machista, sobre todo en estos países donde hay lucha armada, donde hay violencia armada. Esa lucha armada y esa violencia armada nos pone a nosotros, los hombres, digamos, con mucho más poder y autoridad sobre los mismos hombres. pero queremos vencer esa violencia de género, tenemos que hacerla desde la iluminación de nuestro femenino con el femenino que nos acompaña, o sea, con las mujeres que nos acompañan. Y tenemos que hacerla en conversaciones como estas. Porque cuando uno se pone a ver los informes de, por ejemplo, la Comisión de la Verdad en Colombia sobre violencia de género masculina, se da en esos términos en los que ahora te comentaba, ¿cierto? Se da a hombres violentados sexualmente por los que han sufrido sobre todo la lucha armada, los grupos armados. Hombres nacidos a raíz del delito de violencia sexual y hombres que presenciaron hechos de violencia sexual cometidos contra las mujeres.
Espérate, yo te voy traduciendo.
Dale.
So what we are talking here with Carlos, and I think we all relate with it, is that some of the problems, and mostly when we are talking about Colombia and all of these countries that have been living conflicts, different violent kind of, for example, in Colombia is the guerrillas, it has been the narco traffic, it has been all of this. And most of the men has been born in this fight. So it's a fight against who is winning. It's kind of that transformation that we have to start doing in the way that it's not just one person. It has to be a group work that we have to do. Go ahead. Carlos, continúa.
Entonces, comentaste los 3 puntos, ¿cierto? Hombres violentados sexualmente, desde donde se identifican aquellos que sufrieron el hecho de ser informantes, por ejemplo, de grupos armados, ¿cierto? O por no querer colaborar con la información o eso, entonces los violentan muchas veces. Hombres nacidos a raíz de delitos de violencia sexual y eso se lleva en los genes y se lleva en la herencia, digamos, neuronal. Y hombres que presenciaron hechos de violencia sexual contra las mujeres. El problema, Mónica, es que todos los hombres nacidos en esos 3 contextos, como lo explica la Comisión de la Verdad, son hombres que posiblemente se van a volver hombres violentos contra el género. Entonces, ¿qué ocurre ahí? Lo que hay que hacer es iluminar ese femenino. Y la manera de iluminar ese femenino es en conversaciones con un femenino más sano. Y el femenino más sano que tenemos es una mujer sana. O sea, es una femenina sana, una mujer que quiera trabajar con los hombres por sanar esa carga ancestral machista que nosotros tenemos y de poder y de autoridad que nosotros tenemos para poder romper ese círculo. Yo estoy convencido de que la mejor metodología es conversaciones honestas donde los hombres nos podamos sincerar, donde los hombres nos podamos comparar en las conversaciones, o sea, poner de igual a igual la conversación sincera de por qué nosotros tenemos cargas ancestrales y a veces no somos capaces de manejarlas, sino que esa carga nos maneja a nosotros y nos vuelve violentos. Pero si nosotros tenemos grupos seguros, grupos de apoyo, grupos como estos, por ejemplo, lo que ustedes están promoviendo, donde los hombres podamos conversar sinceramente sin necesidad de sentir que somos, ojo lo que voy a decir, afeminados por conversar de estos temas, eso es lo que nos ayudaría.
Uy, sí, eso es súper importante. Espérate, yo les voy traduciendo. Wow, this is really interesting, guys. Because in Colombia, they have something that is the truth. So some of the things that they have been, they has been developed is the truth. Because some of these men has been born in situations of, it was a sexual kind of abuse that they born in there. And they born from women that was abused, and that is what they learn in self. So it's all of these ancestral kind of way that is over the men, what they have to do. So all of this is that we have to found is the ideal woman that is going to guide the men. But this woman cannot burn or cannot be in a way that she can demonstrate how free she is because she is in an oppression. She is still in that the only way that we can do this is through this kind of group, this kind of conversation. And sometimes the other problem that we have is that sometimes when you start to talk in these groups, the people take you that you are no man enough. You are like a female, no male. So it's the other side of the coin that when the people start to do these conversations, they're gonna find that, oh, so are you a man or are you a woman? Or what is going on with you? What you are talking about, or you are talking against us. And that is really, really important. Go ahead, Carlos. Dale, Carlos, continúa, disculpa.
Bueno, y lo siguiente que te quería decir, Mónica, es que también se ha identificado que la violencia sexual no solamente es contra el hombre, sino que pues es contra su pareja, contra su familia, y muchas veces cuando son líderes comunitarios, callar al líder es callar la comunidad. Entonces, por ejemplo, en Colombia se da mucho eso, que por ejemplo un presidente de una acción comunal, que es lo más básico de una, digamos, de un encuentro comunitario que hay en un barrio o en una vereda o en un corregimiento, pues en Colombia, digamos, callar al líder es la manera de callar la comunidad. Entonces, esa violencia también es una violencia de género, porque la gran mayoría de estos, digamos, desarrollos que nosotros tenemos en las comunidades son lideradas por hombres. Entonces, callar al líder, callar al hombre, es callar la familia, es callar la pareja, es callar el proceso comunitario y es callarlo a él mismo. Y eso también es violencia de género.
Okay, so listen this and listen really clear, because some of the problems, again, when we are talking in the communities and when we have these conflicts in the different countries, most than likely, most of the leaders in the communities are men. But what the people does is try to silence these men. And when they silence these men, they are silent the community, they are silent the women, they are silent everybody. But that is the way that is used. They start to with arms or try to take their families, so different ways to try to silence. But when they silence these people, these men or these leaders that normally speaking, the leaders, because we don't have, again, the same amount of woman leadership than men. But when these men are silent, all the community is silent as well. Go ahead. Dale, Carlos.
Listo. Hay también un tema que a mí me parece, y es que digamos, esa violencia de género lo que hace es que se multiplica sobre todo en procesos comunitarios cuando los niños y las niñas perciben eso. Y entonces lo empiezan a ver normal, lo normalizan. Y cuando lo normalizan y lo vuelven normal, entonces no va a haber cómo parar eso. Hasta que no pongamos lo que nosotros decíamos ahorita, es cómo paramos para que nos sentemos a conversar y a conversar sobre la violencia de género. Esa es la manera de parar el tema, porque si no, los niños que están viendo los adultos que someten a otros adultos o a otros niños o a otros adolescentes, sea por clasismo, sea por raza, sea por tierra, sea por poder, entonces no vamos a ser capaces de parar la violencia de género, porque los niños aprenden de esa manera de testimonio y de ejemplo.
Así es. So the other characteristics per se is that when we are in this abuse cycle, the kids are learning from this. and is repeating the same cycle. And furthermore, because it's all internet and all of this, that is multiplied further than what it was before, because the kids are learning that that is the way that we should go. That is the way that we can do the things. That is the way that the girls are learning that that is the way that it has to be, and the boys are learning that is the way that they have to abuse the other party. That the only way we go back is to have this kind of conversations. Candid conversations when we can look the solution and learn what is really the violence against women and girls and men, because at the end of the day, men are in the same way has this conflict on themselves, because they have to do it, because there is what is the expectations from the other men and the society. Dale, Carlos.
Sí. Voy a seguir con esto, Mónica, porque me parece importante como poner esto. En estos países latinoamericanos, la violencia de género también se da por el poder económico. O sea, cuando, por ejemplo, una persona, no voy a hablar de si es hombre o mujer, pero tiene el poder económico de la proveeduría en la casa o en el hogar, entonces se siente con el derecho de poder ejercer una mayor control, y ese control puede ser desde el punto de vista, digamos, de las ideas, o sea, de lo intelectual, se pone por encima porque tiene el poder económico, porque es el que provee, y entonces ahí viene, digamos, la violencia física, la violencia verbal y la violencia psicológica. Y finalmente eso deshumaniza a la persona. Y la deshumaniza porque tiene el poder económico para proveer. Y como estamos en estos países muchas veces viviendo es para la sobrevivencia, entonces la otra persona se deja someter fácilmente a eso.
Okay, the other big factor is the economy power, because normally speaking, mostly in Latin America, the man is the one who has more economic power, so he is the provider. And in the way that he is the provider, he has a financial power over the woman. And because in Latin America, you are just surviving, just try to make it day by day. So the woman cannot exit from that relationship because she cannot do it by herself. So that power, that economical power, is as well the one who is giving these men the allow them to be in that position. So that is one of the other ways that they are giving this power going down. Carlos, tenemos 4 minuticos. ¿Qué otras soluciones? Dale.
Yo quisiera, no, la solución para mí, Mónica, es la conversación. Yo creo que nosotros necesitamos, así no tengamos los mismos idiomas, así tengamos la dificultad de la comprensión a veces en el idioma, necesitamos conversar, porque la conversación es lo que produce la posibilidad de cambiar las ideas que nosotros tenemos en esas huellas neuronales que nosotros tenemos ancestrales, y poder resignificar unas nuevas ideas, unas nuevas huellas neuronales que nos permitan la comprensión de que en el otro me estoy viendo yo y en el otro estoy siendo yo, y humanizar más las conversaciones. O sea, tenemos que deshumanizar la violencia y humanizar la conversación para disminuir la violencia de género. Para mí ese es el punto más clave que hay. Y es el método más acertado que podemos encontrar, en la manera en que seamos honestos en la conversación, en la manera en que tengamos espacios seguros para conversar, en la manera en que nos escuchemos y no nos juzguemos, ni nos califiquemos, ni nos señalemos los unos a los otros, sino que podamos mirar al otro a los ojos y humanamente y escucharlo con atención. Y en la medida en que yo lo escucho, estar sintiendo adentro a mí eso que me está produciendo, es en la medida en que yo puedo disminuir la violencia de género.
Sí. ¿Y cómo podemos? Porque tú has dicho cosas muy importantes, Carlos. Uno de los problemas es que cuando tú te acercas a conversar, sobre todo las mujeres conversamos mucho y esa es la naturaleza nuestra. Pero al varón, al hombre, se le reduce mucho esa capacidad, porque como tú decías, cuando tú te vas a acercar a estas conversaciones, te van a tomar como si tú fueras afeminado o es que no quieres eh, soportar el poder que tenemos, ese tipo de cosas, sobre todo en nuestras culturas. ¿Cómo hacemos para que los varones puedan llegar seguros a este tipo de conversación?
La manera de llegar a este tipo de conversaciones seguras, te lo voy a decir, Mónica, es de dos maneras. Mira, el hombre por lo general, hay hombres que son o muy intelectuales o muy corporales desde el punto de vista del hacer. ¿Sí me hago entender? Entonces, cuando el hombre es muy intelectual y piensa mucho, le cuesta mucho bajar ese pensamiento al sentimiento. Y ahí es donde la mujer juega un papel muy importante, de ayudarle a sentir lo que piensa. ¿Sí me hago entender? O sea, el recorrido es ese. Es que al hombre le cuesta sentir lo que piensa y sentir lo que hace. Pero si encuentra una mujer que le ayude a percibir que tanto lo que piensa como lo que hace lo puede sentir, ahí el hombre empieza a hacer un clic, es un choque que ocurre en uno, digamos, en toda su integración como ser humano, para poder integrar los tres centros, el pensamiento, el sentimiento y el hacer, el cuerpo. Ahí
Okay.
es donde yo creo que es importante jugar con eso. O sea, ayudarnos a nosotros los hombres a que nosotros no solamente el desarrollo del mundo, el desarrollo de la sobrevivencia, el desarrollo de la sí, de la sobrevivencia y de proveer, no es solamente desde el intelectual y desde el hacer en el cuerpo y desde ir a hacer cosas y ganar la plata para poder llevar el sustento a la casa, sino además que cuando yo llegue a la casa haya quien me ponga a sentir el pensamiento y a sentir el cuerpo.
So, in conclusion, Carlos, one of the solutions that we have is two parts. First, that the change is only going to be produced in the way that we start to have these conversations. And not only flow conversations, but humanized conversations in the way that we can start transform our thoughts in things that we're going to do concrete. And one of the things additional to do this is how we can motivate or how can the men start to approach these conversations. Because as we said before, sometimes the problem is that the man is going to take like he is no man enough when they start to approach these conversations. So the man is more do it kind of person. So the woman is a game that they have to do where the intellectual, the man that is intellectual, a kinesiology, that is the way that he wants to do, the woman can start the process by giving him the feeling, to understand what is the process of the man and start to make him feel and be able to process those feelings. Because for the man, it's hard to process feelings.
Mónica, ve, y por último, te quisiera decir esto. Llegar a eso, digamos, a la gente puede decir, pero es que eso no es fácil. La mejor manera de llegar a eso es como hemos llegado desde niños, es con la atención. O sea, en la medida en que el hombre se sienta que en un grupo le prestan atención, no hay juzgamiento ni señalamiento, sino que hay atención desde el corazón, el hombre es capaz de abrirse a hablar de violencia de género. Y cuando ya uno lo tiene ahí, ya es distinto, empieza a cambiar en él toda su contextura.
So for the man, it's not easy to arrive to this, but in the way that he feels that his conversation or that he has the attention and he can start to open themselves into the conversation, but it's the attention, the one who is going to give him, her, going in a deeper conversation and most honest and humane conversation than when it is not. Chicho, muchas gracias. Si te puedes quedar un ratico, vamos a seguir conversando en todo caso con los hombres de Kenia. Y vamos a estar aquí conversando en todo caso todas estas mañanas hasta el 10 de diciembre.
Gracias,
Te agradecemos
Mónica.
mucho
Gracias,
en todo
nos
caso.
saludas a todos y les dices que un abrazo muy grande.
Listo. So
Chao.
Carlos, love you guys, and he wants to tell you that he appreciates this time that we have here with him. Thank you.
Gracias, chao.
Ciao.
Chao. Muchas gracias.
Un abrazo, María. Gracias, chao.
Chao. Thank you, Mamacita. Thank you for such an informative presentation and conversation. There was so much to learn, and I hope all of us were able to take away some of that invaluable information that Carlos was able to share with us. And it's always, I just want to put a note there that language does not stand as a barrier, but we are able to exchange information. And this is what makes it so beautiful in the work that we do. The different voices, the different cultures, nationalities, we all come together and speak in the collective because we are all aspiring for that equitable society, equitable world where women and girls will no longer be seen just as objects, but instead they are treated as equals. I would like to believe we all learned something new about Colombia and the situation there and how we are able to relate to our own situations. This is what I've said before. It doesn't matter where you are. The problem of violence against women and girls is the same. But we appreciate our brothers for standing in the gap with us, to say no, even when society points fingers at them and say, why are you doing this? Because remember, the societies that we are all coming out of, they all have their own belief systems, their own traditions. Some will not be forthcoming. But when men like Carlos, men like our Alpha Support Group champions, as we will see them later on in a few minutes, when they stand in the gap, and many other brothers who are standing in the gap and saying, the time is up. It's no longer business as usual. We want to say, we appreciate you. This fight is not only for the women, but it is for us all. Because we want to see the girls who become women of tomorrow be able to become the best versions of themselves, to be able to live their dreams and aspire to become the best. We want the girls to have access to education. We want our girls to have access to have superior products. We want our girls not to worry when they walk at night or when they walk alone in places which should be safe. But because they are girls, they may not make it home. We want our girls to no longer be used as objects, but to be identified by their names and not the way they look. We want our girls to no longer be sold because they are human. So we appreciate you for standing in the gap and saying, if it takes your voices and your will to draw more men who will stand with you and us in the collective, so be it. Like Uncle Charles, who is no stranger to us. He has been with us since we went digital, and we want to thank him. And I will say just a little about Uncle Charles, as we fondly call him. To others, formerly he is Charles Okwemba, the elder, the father, the grandfather, the husband. But to us, as activists, feminists, empowerment leaders, experts in our own right on this platform, we reference him as Uncle Charles. When we first kicked off Candid Conversations 4 years ago, Uncle Charles was one of the first men who came on board. And he said to us, one thing I'll never forget, he said, I will wear a skirt. So I've always kind of challenged him every year and say, I need to see your picture of you wearing a skirt. And he said to us, he promised, he said he'll do the best that he can. He will have more men coming and joining this fight. And every year, Uncle Charles has been relentless. He has brought more men, young men, elderly men, to the Alpha champions, men champions, as he calls them, of the Alpha support group. But he decided to have them called as the Alpha men support champions, because they champion and have come together to say no to violence against women, any form of violence against women and girls. He has brought in experts in the group. He has brought in the pastors in the group. He has brought in youth leaders in the group. He has not stopped. He continues to work with the widows, with women and girls in Kakamega. And he's not stopping, because he says this fight belongs to all. This fight belongs to the men champions. And until he sees the change, he is going to continue with the fight. He's fighting the good fight because he wants the girls and women to be treated as equals. And he's willing to carry out the difficult conversations with the community leaders, traditional leaders, the women, the girls, the boys, and the men in his community. So, Uncle Charles, we honor you and we appreciate the work that you are doing. And I hope, personally, I hope one day I'll be able to meet you in person and I'll pay homage to you in person for the work that you are doing. And we hope that the God we serve, because you are a prayerful man, will continue to lead and guide you and give you wisdom to continue doing the work that you're doing. So without further ado, I'll open the mic and hand it over to Uncle Charles. And I'll give him 5 minutes for him to introduce the men, the Alpha Support Champions, and men champions, I beg your pardon. And then I will go in and delve on the order of today, as I have prepared some questions that we will discuss with the men and hear their views and what is working and what isn't working. So Uncle Charles, habari muzuri. And I want to say asante sana to you. Take it away.
Thank you, Maria. I didn't know you know me that much, but I appreciate. We are now at Alpha Support Development Program, where men champions have seated. However, we are using one gadget, so maybe you might not see all of us. But today I have the pleasure of introducing men champions to the entire world, and praying that whatever presentation we shall make shall add salt into the issue of gender-based violence, and particularly sexual gender-based violence. We had planned that we shall start with the data so that you get to know what is happening in Kenya and Kakamega, where we shall have Mr. Namai presenting. We shall also have Mr. Christopher Atego presenting something on participating, what is it? Men's participation in combating sexual gender-based violence. And then we shall have Bishop Amunga sharing men's experience of sexual gender-based violence. And finally, we shall have Mr. Layton sharing to us about men, whether men are victims of sexual gender-based violence. So I believe we shall have time to share. And before we continue, I want to appreciate Carlos. The barrier was just the language, but I think what he has expressed in Colombia is almost what is happening in Kenya too. So I just want to bring you to Mr. Namai, who should take us into the data issue, because everything that is done must start with data. Thank you, Namai. Welcome.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. I'm Namai Samuel Okalo. I come in as a community leader who is able to present the data, because they say that data doesn't lie. And everything that comes up to solve an issue like gender-based violence, it must emanate from the data that has been collected. Just allow me to begin my my presentation by saying that when we want to curb gender-based violence, we must involve every voice. Men as allies and survivors and champions of change. If we don't embrace that, then that we shall take men as bystanders. And this one will not contribute towards gender-based violence. So according to the statistics that are there in Kenya, specifically in Western Kenya, specifically in Kakamega, it indicates that gender-based violence is more prevalent in the western part. For example, if we can use the statistics of KIPRA that was done in January 2022, that is January to April, it shows that it is reporting 4,426 cases of gender-based violence. And most of the counties that encounter this gender-based violence, counties, sub-counties like Matungu, Lugari, Kuisero, Ikolomani, and Shinyalu. Shinyalu is leading in gender-based cases. And that's why we people in Huisero actually came up just to address the issue. Why is it that these cases are more in the western part of Kenya? The contributing factors of this particular violence is alcohol and drug substance abuse, cultural norms, and intimate partner violence. So you'll find that most of these cases revolve around the culture of the Western people. That is it on statistics of the gender-based violence cases in Kenya, specifically in Western region. Thank you. I welcome Christophe just to present on issues to do with combating of sexual gender-based violence in Kakamega, Kenya. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I feel honored, and I think according to what we have come up with, the truth of the matter is that God has put us together and He had a purpose to save the world. I think these are what we are going to, we have some methods how we can solve the issue. I think when we put down all our heads, we came up with the finding a solution. Yes, there is a gender-based. How can we chip in so that we can reduce the gender-based violence? So there are a few methods that we applied down, and one of it being that first, for us to get a solution, we need to come up with a dialogue. Then, number two, I think we need to create awareness, because now this is something that we cannot hold individually. And then number three, we need to have a counseling team. And also we need to put some awareness seminars so that we can now educate our people, because some of these things are happening. These are our brothers and sisters whom we live with, and they need to be educated on what gender-based means. So when we do that, we involve the community so that we can now talk as a team, and also we put down the church leaders so that we can address in a group. And this one can actually put us, create awareness, and we educate our people how we can create a way of reducing gender-based. And I think if we can come that way, I think that one, people will be aware of how we can reduce this problem of gender-based, because it's done within our brothers. The perpetrators are just our brothers and sisters. So if we can come together and put all of it together, these are the method that we thought maybe if we put down, it can lead us to a solution. Thank you. Let me go to my next.
I'm Bishop Isaac Amunga, and I'm contributing on a man experiencing in sexual gender-based violence. As I get reports from my pastors, sex is a blessing from God. And therefore, as a man in the family, especially in Kakamega County, a man is a breadwinner of the family. The family depends on man to provide. And therefore, when it comes that man does not provide, mom in the home brings obstacles during a sexual intercourse that if the man did not provide, then there's no way mom was going to allow this man to have sex. Therefore, what is happening today, when man is not given his right, he'll turn violent. And what we are doing as men champion in the Alpha, we are creating a platform whereby we meet men and try to advise that they are supposed to work hard for them to provide in the family so as not to encounter with sexual gender-based violence. This is happening simply because, as one said, that there is a lot of poverty in the family and man is found that he cannot provide. Therefore, men are experiencing sexual gender-based violence as an obstacle whereby Mr. Bukaji.
Now, thank you, Bishop. My name is Matthias Bukaji. I'm going to comment briefly about the question of men's experience about marriage. And I would begin like this. I would start at the family base, because the family is the main unit of society. And if a family fails, the nation will fail, the church will fail. So everybody, the better the family, the better the church, the better the school. In my experience, I would expand further the Bishop's observation. The family is like a beehive. In a beehive, there's the queen, there are workers in the beehive, and there's the drone. There's no king there. There's the king there. Now, eventually, if the now and so in the beehive, I say there's a queen, there are drones and the workers, and they should work together. In the event of the honeys getting slackened, the workers kill the drones. I can compare this story to a family. The man is the main breadwinner. The man is the custodian of the marriage. The man is rightly so the leader. Now, if he provides nothing for the children, if he gives nothing for the family, and the care is very poor, if he has no good masculinity to care for the family, then there will be a problem. Eventually, the wife will rebel because he is not providing. Another very common cause of this sexual problem in marriage is the African culture. Now, here in Africa, there's no celibacy. But if the wife is barren, the husband may not bear that. That would have to promote infidelity. What I can call infidelity in marriage. Because the wife is barren, no child, therefore no sex, and so on. Another principal cause in the family which brings the problem is childlessness. If you have no child, the family will not be expanded. So for this matter, as we tackle the community, from here at Alpha, up to the county, up to the nation, we want to tackle the question of positive masculinity so that the family can run well for us to keep up. Thank you very much. With me is my learned friend, Leighton Madete, will expand on that, madam. Thank you.
This is Leighton Amatete. I'm a social worker working within the rural communities in Western Kenya, specifically Kakamega County. I think the data that Samuel has provided speaks volumes in terms of gender-based violence within this region. Based on the same data, it necessitates that we take urgent steps by way of mobilizing all stakeholders within, externally, and internally, so that we have one voice. We have one basket full of interventions that will lead to reducing these cases of gender-based violence. It is saddening that Kenya today, day in, day out, we experience cases of femicide where our sisters get brutally murdered. And we are happy during the last weeks, the last few days, our president, during his keynote address to the National Assembly, he has directed that we have a national dialogue so that all stakeholders are brought on board. We discuss and forge a formidable way forward that will gear us towards reducing these cases of our sisters getting killed, their bodies being mutilated, and also come up with lasting solutions that are all inclusive. So it is already adding up to our voice. It is going to strengthen what male champions are doing at Alpha, and it will provide a structured way through which the community can engage. So before I handle the issue of whether men are victims of sexual gender-based violence, I would wish to add my voice on the possible interventions that are already being practiced on the ground. We are happy through the legislation and the policy level at the government, at the national government and county government level, is providing a structured way, a roadmap or a framework through which the state can engage private partners in addressing issues of sexual gender-based violence and ending all forms of violence against women and girls. We are happy that Kakamega County has what we call a gender policy, which provides a framework for us to engage the state and non-state actors. We have the national government enacted several laws. We have the Sexual Offences Act number 3 of 2006. We have productive through which youth and women can access their rights when it comes to sexual and reproductive health issues. We have also the Affirmative Action Law, which is also trying to ensure that the Affirmative Action Act, that we have equity in terms of resource distribution, leadership, engagement, and even employment, where women can also have their equal share as well as men. So in terms of policy and legal formulation, the government has tried to come up with sets of laws that can guide within the sector. However, enforcement still remains an issue, and lobbying, continuous lobbying at the civil society, faith-based organization level, by engaging the state actors in speeding up the enforcement and for operationalization of those laws remains a need for intervention. However, at the moment on the ground, there are several done. We have the faith groups which also engage their congregators at the religious level. They open up discussions on family life. combating gender-based violence at the household level. We have also advocacy being done by the county government staff within the devolved units and the national government administrative officers. Also engaging the cultural leaders, clan leaders, in terms of paradigm shift in the way they assign the socially constructed gender roles, norms, in a way that we reduce the burden that is heaped on women and girls in terms of the social practice. Is also an ongoing process. However, it's good to note that in terms of impact, it's long-term, and the wheel is rolling. With the time, with more stakeholders brought on board, we are going to gain much ground and eventually win the war. So men are supposed to be and are an integral part of the society. Then their active involvement in having gender-based violence will go a long way in achieving the desired results. So I would wish to talk about whether men are victims of sexual gender-based violence. The answer is in affirmative, yes. In selected cases, men also experience sexual gender-based violence. However, ours might not be physical because of the masculinity nature of male gender. Majorly, it is psychological in the sense that material, financial demands are attached to the sexual, the sex part of it, where female, to some point, they'll demand some targets to be met, whether it's a financial assistance, material support. Like if I may joke, others will ask, maybe she has seen a car in a showroom somewhere, you have to buy it before you access her body. Others will want direct financial support, material things like high-end phones like iPhone, computers, being taken to overseas trips. So majorly, those ones, for a man who cannot meet the demands, they feel disenfranchised. They feel that there's too much price being attached to the sex act, and at times it culminates into the kind of retaliation whereby they go physical because they can't access their conjugal rights. Others, they are denied, where a mother now will pick a young child and put in between them in bed. So they share bed where the minor is put in between. And that one is a silent way of saying that you can't jump beyond this space. Maybe on minimal, that's what men experience, but it's purely psychological and just normal deprivation by way of creating demands that the lady is sure that this guy at this particular moment might not be able to meet. So it is, yes, we experience sexual gender-based violence, but it majorly in form of deprivation. You are deprived, emotional, they work on your emotions so that the sexual urge now disappears. So that's what we experience in Africa and more so in Western Kenya. We are happy to be discussing more with you as the 16 days go by. Thank you.
We have somebody, Aseka, is going to present the issue about adolescents.
Yes, I'm Solomon Aseka. I want to share the issue of adolescents in our boys and our girls, whereby we start by sensitizing parents to show their positive character for these young ones who are coming up, to correct them, to rebuke them as they walk in the journey of adolescence. Yeah, whereby we taught them, we give them knowledge to help them walk this journey of adolescence and grow up successfully. So that age we talk about, we identify groups of adult adolescents who give birth at the age of 12 years, 13, 14. So we talk to them, we give them hope. We direct them how to go, how to have hope, also to continue with the education, also to have hope of life. And we also talk to boys also who are fathers at the age of 13, 14. We also give them hope. We tell them they still have a way to go. We also tell them that they need also to correct themselves from what they have experienced, whether it's violence they have gone through, stress, and other things that have affected them on that age. We also sensitize parents to support their girls and boys, support them in terms of education, and also to support our girls during their menstrual stages by providing them with sanitary towels during their menstrual season, not to let them down and going out to seek for other people who are strangers to them and who can cause them to early pregnancies, early adult in the adolescent stage. So we encourage them, parents, we send the parent to support them during their menstrual stages, and also supporting them in terms of their needs, such as school materials, school fees, and others that they can make them pass in the adolescent stage well. We talk on a reproductive season, 15 to 48 years, where also we encourage them to walk that journey well, so that they avoid being called mothers in the adolescent stage. I think that is what I can put across.
We don't work alone, we work with women that we support, and therefore we have some two widows here, and I wish one of them can bring her experience. Thank you.
Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. I feel honored when I'm working with men champions in Kakamega. I'm Caroline Madara. What I'll add in gender transformative and intervention, we thank the county government of Kakamega. We have introduced our adolescent girls, both boys and girls, to indulge themselves in activities like sports, football, and we have organized inter competitions whereby we organize them to meet other champions at different counties and indulge themselves in activities so that we can kill the virus of gender-based violence in Kakamega County. And I'm so grateful for our MCA, LC Muhana, organizing the competition amongst the county. And we thank God for her great job. Thank you. May God bless you, Maria.
Yes, Maria, so we conclude.
Yeah. Yes, Madam Maria, it's Namai Samuel. Just an addition on the subject matter, are men victims of sexual gender-based violence? The answer is clearly yes, because you'll find that men experience sexual gender-based violence. However, I wish to state it categorically that these cases are not reported. They are not reported because, one, the cases, maybe there is inadequate resources to ensure that we carry out research based on the cases. So you will find that it is a challenge. So men experience sexual gender-based violence, but the cases are not reported. And that's why we at Alpha Men Champions, we are able to ensure that we advocate for this particular phenomenon of gender-based violence. So thank you very much. I guess there's an addition.
Yeah.
There is an addition.
Okay, I'm Ezekiel Amakanchi. Maybe to say something about youth. We need as parents also to play a very important part, especially when it comes to sexual gender-based violence. You'll find that when we cannot address or share with our children, you'll find that they may land themselves maybe in a problem. For example, my issue is that as parents, let us educate our children to embrace modesty. That is the dressing code. Let our children dress decently when we are with them or wherever they are, because we'll find that men react from what they see. So if I'm a father and my child, my girl, that's my daughter, she's putting on a miniskirt, then she is able to expose maybe her private parts. It will make me as the father to ask her for another thing. So as parents, it's my wish, let us ensure what our children are putting on is decent, so that to avoid that. Then another thing, we should not shy off from educating our children. Let us talk about the topic, sexual education. We should talk to them. Yeah, we inform them. They should not be, we can talk about the private parts to inform them that nobody should touch you. If somebody is touching you, should resist. So if we can have that courage, we need to educate them. They should know that as I grow up, maybe from this stage to this stage, this part should not be touched by anybody, even if it's my father or whichever person. So as parents, we also need to play a very important role in that. Thank you.
Sammy?
Yes.
Add your voice.
I'm Sammy Airo, one of the men champions from Alpha. I can add something on, especially on the side of the boys and guys, on the gender-based. One thing I'll say, as an opinion leader, I normally goes to the barasa, because we have the barasas, or rather the meeting which is called by the elders or the assistant chief. That's on the national level, and assistant chief, the chief. Also on the county level, we have the community admin, and the ward level. We normally sensitize people on these barasas to tell them how they should behave or teach the children, the boys, because especially when they are on the adolescent stage, we tell them to keep them with the like the way my fellow have said about the football. Also, there is also the netball. There is also, they engage also in something like maybe in a choir, in a church, to be busy. That's all I can add. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria. I want to conclude by saying that our vision in Alpha is a healthy and self-sustained community. We would like people to be self-sustained, including the issues of gender-based violence. And so far, I've seen an impact. Quite a number of men are interested. And now we are looking forward, since we have some pastors, to get into the church, so that whenever they start their services, they can give us some room to issue a statement or some directions on gender-based violence. Otherwise, we want to say thank you for listening to us, and I want to open the plenary. If somebody has any question, you could ask us so that we can share. Thank you so much. Back to you,
Wow.
Maria.
Thank you, Asante Sana. Thank you.
Karibu,
Wow, so
karibu.
much to learn. And what I want to acknowledge is that you are doing so much and more with very little resources. But you are not stopping. You remain relentless. Thank you, my brothers. Thank you, Uncle Charles. I am standing in front of you, and my heart is full. You are changing the narrative. No longer are we going to be bystanders and refer to the problem as a women issue. It is a problem. It is that pandemic that has no vaccine in sight. And I'm glad to say that Alpha champions, Alpha men champions, you do me proud. You do
Thank
me
you.
proud. As a fellow African sister, I have no words, but only extend my profound gratitude. What you're doing is not an easy walk in the park. You are doing so much and more. And may you continue this fight. May you continue to walk this fight, because you're not only doing it for us in the collective as women, but you're doing it for the sisters, the women you call sisters, the women you call aunties, the little girls you call nieces. That's who this fight is for. So that your niece, your sister, your aunt can have a voice. May you continue this fight with us. And thank you. I had a question, but you did touch on it, because I wanted us to look at everything and say, you did mention something which really caught my attention earlier in terms of your Kenyan government. And you said there's some form of progress. Is that smokescreen or it's real? I know it's a difficult question.
Well, in a way, it is real, because they have developed a number of policies on gender-based violence. They have come up with the forums of people meeting so that they see how they can compact or have an impact on the issues of gender-based violence. However, there is also an issue of feminists, whereby some people are now killing women. And this has come from the cities. The Nairobi place, it has been worse. So in terms of policies, I can say yes, they have tried to develop the rightful information. But when it comes to a few men, I think they are scared, and if they see that a woman has more evidence, then the solution, they have resorted to killing, which is also a challenge to us.
So you have hope in the government that they are going to be delivering. So what I can only urge you in from grassroots level is that you also have a responsibility to hold them accountable.
True. That's why we have a lot of organizations now doing sensitization, and also they are actually keen on the sexual gender-based violence. So we have quite a number of people coming at the county, and the county themselves, they are the ones actually bringing these partners, and we have really been discussing the issue in Kakamega County.
Wonderful. And I'm hoping that Kakamega County will stand as an example. And what has worked in Kakamega, hopefully you'll be able to spread it so that it applies to other counties. And hopefully, like you said clearly, some of the stuff is happening in the urban, which is Nairobi, which is your capital, correct?
Yeah.
And you are more in the peri-urban, or should I say rural?
Yeah, we are in the rural
level. Okay. But that's where the grassroots starts.
Correct.
Your voices matter. So that's why you have to do also your due diligence by holding the government accountable. So
Sure.
I wish you all the luck in terms of government and policy. Spread the word, sensitize the communities, because their voices matter. The lives that are being lost for no reason, for the only reason that they're women. That can no longer be an excuse. A woman should not have to fight to get protected. A woman should be able to exercise her human rights. And I hope, my brothers, you continue this fight. You bring more brothers to walk this fight with you. This is for the young girls, the future girls who become women. You want them and the boys to stand together in harmony. That's the vision we want to see.
Yes, and I can tell you tomorrow we are sensitizing adolescents, and on the Friday we are sensitizing the youth. So we are having a task ahead. Just pray for us.
Wow. We are so proud of you, and thank you.
Thank you.
If we have any additions, please feel free to put that in the chat. We once again want to take this moment to thank you from all of us. We want to say asante sana, mucho gracias. We were in Colombia earlier on, and now we are in Kenya, and we are in Kakamega, Kenya, speaking to Alpha Support Group, as I call them, Alpha Men Champions. We want to say to you, asante sana, thank you.
Asante.
Because despite the asante, so despite the issues at hand, sometimes we find we're not they could have issues with connectivity. They could have issues with access to internet. We all can play a part.
True.
And I wanted to say that to the Alpha Champions, you know, our kind esteemed Dr. Shirley.
Yes.
She's also extending an invitation to some of you, if you're able, on Thursdays to join her during Therapeutic Thursdays. And if you want to have more information, please reach out, send me an email, and then I'll be able to forward your name to Dr. Shirley Robertson, Pierre Robertson. Because every Thursday, she has Therapeutic Thursday. And those of us that are willing to participate, please do send an email, and I will be able to share your information with Dr. Shirley, and you'll be able to take it from there once she acknowledges. So it's always, like she says, there's also the leading while bleeding, the science of letting go. That's going to be held on January 25th, 2025. So if you are interested in this, whether it's the January event or taking part in the Therapeutic Thursday, please do reach out. So without further ado, we'll take you on and kind of let you look forward to what tomorrow has, which is day 4. where we look at the voices of resilience, empowering survivors of sexual gender-based violence. And it is from trauma to triumph, healing empowerment for survivors, the pathway to justice, and the legal and policy support for survivors of gender-based violence. This is what you will expect for day 4. As we did
That's okay,
promise
Maria.
you.
Sorry, Maria. Before you conclude, our sector has just entered, Peter Olunga. Maybe you can express some greetings.
Okay. We will give him 5 minutes, and then we'll be able to close. But we just wanted you to also know that that's what you should expect for tomorrow: the voices of resilience, empowering survivors of sexual gender-based violence. And we have presenters from Kenya and South Africa that will be leading us tomorrow. Welcome, Olonga. Take it away.
Thank you, Maria, and my fellow champions. It's been a while since we met here. May I pass my gratitude to you, especially Maria, for also coming back. It was long, and we congratulate you for your effort. I've been offline, but we have some issues which you cannot force. I'm glad I'm back, and we are going to forge ahead. Thank you very much.
It's good to have you, and always we believe in you, so we're looking forward to continue working with you as well.
Thank you very much.
And I want to take this moment to thank everybody that joined us today. We have Avni from India. Thank you, India in the house. India was in the house today. So we thank you for joining us. And Carolyn from the United States, thank you. And earlier on with Sister Janice, I want to take this moment. And Canada in the house. Of course, Canada was in the house tonight. And we have also Kenya and Colombia. Our voices will continue to echo across the seas and the mountaintops. We are not stopping, for the time is now. We will stand together in the collective to say no against gender-based violence. You and I have a responsibility to become part of the change we want to see, to raise our voices and stand in the gap. But remember, before we go, you are hope. And we, you and I and us are hope. And if we can bring hope to one girl, one woman, one boy, one man, one community at a time, then our job is done. Have yourself a wonderful evening. Great afternoon, wherever you're joining us from around the world, and a great morning for those of us that are still in the morning time. Make it a great day, and together we rise. Be the light. And remember, if anything you can take away, what is that going to be your call to action? We look forward to seeing you in the coming days as we continue to raise our voices in the collective. Thank you. Muchas gracias. Asante. Have a great day.
Asante.
Merci.
Thank you.
Have a great day. Thank you.